going to their fourth cycle. And there's a lot of people that are now going first into their cycle, right? Now they have some sort of money, some capital, and they're online most of the day, and they see these opportunities that are popping up. They know that they're real, but they don't know how to materialize them. And then you have the people that last bull run or last kind of market cycle was their first market cycle where they had some money and then they didn't really know what they were doing, and they kind of fell into the whole what was the last one? It was like, we're all going to make it. Is that was that the last memo? And the one before that was like hodl, and you had all the whole concept of religiously just dumping on the noobs time and time again. And the objective is to not lose, right? And so many people are going into this entire thing. And since you guys are my community, I care about you guys. I'm like, okay, I could tweet about this, or excuse me, I could post about this, but let me just mention it because we have so many people that are listening. So might as well just chop it up for a few minutes. Give me a little fire emoji or little clap emoji if you guys think we should chop it up for a couple minutes. I have to dip in about 20 minutes, but I think we should chop it up for a bit. So, a couple things that I think is important for you guys to understand. The first one is how crypto works. I was talking with a buddy of mine that's been in crypto since the beginning, and we were talking about how cycles work and how things are presented online. And the truth is, narratives are created, right? From a very early think tank conception stage, these projects, these endeavors are put forth, and they're cooked up really, really well, and then they're pushed forth to VCs, funds, people with capital, banks, and from there, they go to people of status, people that can actually push the narrative. So, news outlets, uh, people that have status, have social presence, things of this nature, and then eventually it reaches the first circle, which is kind of like the inner circle of these individuals, and then it reaches the masses. And the masses obviously are always the ones that get dumped on. Why? Because we understand how these things work. They don't work based off of numbers, P&L sheets. They work off of one simple thing, narrative. They work off of perception. And unless you understand how the game is played, you're going to continue being the last guy that continues to get dumped on. And the reason you're getting dumped on is because you don't understand how the game is played. So I want to give you guys some pointers that are some general rules of thumb for people going into their first cycle, for people that are going into their second cycle. Uh, let's start with people that are going into their second cycle. I think we have a lot of those individuals. The first thing is you need to you need to be extremely wise with what you do with your time. During the first bull run that I was in 2017, 2018, kind of that winter, my portfolio did 180x, right? Like it was crazy. I did extremely well, but it was my first time in the rodeo. I bought the whole show and the whole bullshit, and I didn't keep it. But I understood the things were going to happen again, and I saw a glimpse of social media. That's when stories had just kind of come out, or they were recent. It was a really cool feature, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a really cool way to spread information." I was like, "Next cycle, social media is going to be super heavy," and yeah, it was. It was such a catalyst to the entire crypto economy. Now, what I realized was that the reason I did well was because during that off season, you could call it an off season, I was getting prepared and I was making a plan. And a lot of you guys are going into this without a plan. And a plan doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be a genius to make a plan. You just have to determine what is your goal. And a lot of you guys don't have a goal. You don't know how much money you want to make. You don't know what asset categories you want to look into. You don't know what communities you want to be involved with. You don't know who to listen to. You don't know where to do research. You don't. you don't know the basics of finance or the basics of financial literacy. So there's a lot of things that you're trying to do while simultaneously being like, hey, I see this opportunity. I'm not trying to do this whole study thing while the train goes by. Dude, I get it. I've been around. But how do you manage both of those things? Well, you need to prepare, right? And you need to have a plan. So you need to determine, first of all, where you're going to identify opportunity of what? Of narrative. Opportunity of narrative. Not of current narrative, but of future narrative. How can you foresee narratives? You need to be what? Boots on the ground. You need to be ears connected to what is happening. How many events with regards to the markets have you attended? Like physical events, physical networking events, where all the founders, like the people that are actually trying to push their products, go to? How many? How many communities have you gotten into? How many founders have you chatted with? You'd be surprised how much impact and how easy it is to get access to all these individuals and to learn whether putting your what? Your hard-earned money into certain vehicles is actually a good risk reward play. Now, this is how I work because of where I am, right? I'm not there's different people that trade different ways. I'm not this guy that day trades and does crazy leverage. It's just not what I do. There's people that do that and they absolutely crush it and I respect them and they're fucking G's. I just have to manage employees and businesses and things like that so that occupy my time that I have to do that thing with excellence, right? So how I trade is I trade based off of narratives and I trade based off of trends and I invest in medium range to long term narratives. I don't play 5 days a week, 2 weeks. Even this whole shitcoin kind of ecosystem, I try to stay away from it just by the simple fact that even though I'm familiar with it extremely well, I personally stay away from it on the trading perspective just because I don't have the time to supervise, DEX tools up and down on a fucking $3 million market cap shitcoin. I just don't have the time to do that. But I know that there's a market for it. But the thing is, how do you go into that market? Do you go into that market understanding the narrative, understanding the ecosystem? Or are you going as a person that thinks that everybody has the same limited tools and resources that you do? And that's just simply not the case. You're out here trading on fucking Binance with $50,000 thinking you're a G, and you don't really understand that you're going to get swallowed up because you don't understand how the game is played. That's the first thing. You need to establish a plan and you need to determine how much money you want to make. What is your goal? If you don't have a goal, you're not going to hit it. How do you expect to achieve and reach a destination if you don't even know where you're going? It's impossible. You have to set a plan. I had a plan for the last bull run and I hit it. And in fact, I hit it and I felt, this was the honest feeling, I felt like I had undercut myself. But I had the discipline, right, and the self-regulation to be like, I'm going to close my positions. And it was hard for me. I closed my ETH at 3,950 and then that shit continued pumping. And I was like, fuck, like what if it continues ripping? And it didn't. Then it reversed. It took a week. But you guys know how that feels. A lot of you guys now are sidelined on these 300, 400, 500% gains, and you're feeling the FOMO. But why are you just going to jump into it? Why? Because you heard somebody fucking tweet about it? You don't know their intentions. You don't know their intention. It doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't really make a difference. You don't know their intentions. You may assume their intentions, but you don't know. So how do you get to make a plan? You need to get educated. And education is something that you can't learn from a tweet. You can't learn from one YouTube video. You can't learn from listening to one spaces. It's by becoming a different type of individual, right? Which means you need to educate yourself by experience, by time. I've been telling you guys, I have been looking at the Bitcoin chart every single day since mid 2016. I don't look at everything. I just look at that. It's not very hard. It only takes a couple minutes, but I do it every single day and I like it. I enjoy it. Now, what is this thing that you like it? It's like, it's not, oh, we're going to make it. No, it's like, you're not going to make it. And it's not whether you make it right now and get lucky. It's, are you able to sustain wealth long term? Because people flex making money, but the flex should be about who can keep the money that they make. You know what I mean? So I think the narrative needs to change, and I think it's a great, healthy perspective for people going into the second bull run to make a plan. What did you do wrong? What are you committing, right, to yourself, which is your goal, and what is your plan to get there, right? What is your vehicles? What are the niches? Who are the individuals, right? I call them shareholders of your dream, right? Who are the key people that you need in order to succeed, right? Let's say you want to launch a project. You're a marketing guy. Who do you need? Well, you need a dev team. You need marketing assistants. You need somebody to operate your customer service. You need somebody to operate your community. You need social media management, right? So you need multiple people. So those are your key stakeholders. What are the key stakeholders when you're investing, right? Who's your circle? One, two. You need to be extremely careful about who you spend time with. Not just what you do, but who you do the activities, right, that you partake with. Because what I've come to realize and where I've excelled is in communicating and networking and connecting with incredible minds. And guys, this platform has incredible minds, great minds, intelligent people, like people that are extremely successful, and they share a lot of information. People want to see each other win. I truly believe that. I think that for the majority of this space, people enjoy seeing other people succeed, and they celebrate the wins of the underdog, right? And I think that that's super novel, and I think it comes from a great place. But what about the peers that you have, your network? Are they on the same wavelength of the opportunity that's about to come as you? Yes or no? And if the question is answered in I don't know or no, how much time are you going to dedicate to those relationships versus doing what you need to do to capitalize on this opportunity? That's the second one. The third one is understand that you need to act with urgency, but you need to also act with accuracy. Urgency and understanding that you're also on the clock of the game, right? It doesn't matter if you're the best player, it doesn't matter if you're Messi. You still have 90 minutes to play the match. You're limited by the time. Opportunity also has a lifespan. And unless you can understand that there is a lifespan to the opportunity, let me rephrase that there is the opportunity of a lifetime that won't be around your entire life. And if you fuck it up, and I'm not saying 1, 2 years, I'm not talking about a crypto bull, I'm talking about the next couple years of technological fucking revolution. This isn't a crypto bull market. This is a technological revolution of proportions that are unprecedented. I mean, what can you match it to? What can you match? It's very difficult to compare it to many things. I mean, you can compare it to the creation of the coin. You can you can compare it to the introduction of the factory by Henry Ford, right? Like you can compare it to these revolutions. Now the question is, when this is all said and done and all the cards are shaken and the dust is settled, where are you going to sit? Not did you have a good trade and did you flex it and post it? Fuck that shit, dude. When it's all said and done and the dust settles, where do you stand? Dude, all these fucking dudes of this last bull run that there were gods of crypto there, half of them are in jail. Fuck those motherfuckers, bro. So the con isn't just in listening to the wrong people, but it's also in thinking that you can do it alone. So go find those peers and that you can have a great relationship with, that see the same vision and attack it together. Finally, talking about the perception of other individuals. Because when we talk about investing, so much of it has to do with how you think. And a lot of it comes down to greed. And greed, the antithesis of greed, is gratitude, right? Having satisfaction. You're complete, you're whole, you don't need, right? So greed comes from a place of wanting something, and it's not necessarily healthy. Now it's destructive because greed is an emotion. And if you allow emotions to cloud your judgment, then you're not going to operate effectively. Now, what I've come to realize is when you begin to see crazy numbers, when you begin to see people post crazy shit online, you can get greedy because you desire that which another person has. You covet, right? If in one of the ten commandments, right? Thou shalt not covet. And so many people are here looking at other people and they're like, oh shit, I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to go get that too. And it clouds your judgment. Greed. But if you operate out of a place of fulfillment, contentment, peace, and understanding that you have to operate effectively, efficiently, accurately today, nobody's going to study for you. Nobody's going to read the charts for you. Nobody's going to jump into the Discord communities for you. Nobody's going to do the work for you, motherfucker. Stop listening to the bullshit. Yes, there's great people on this platform. They make great calls, bro. There's there's guys that have made me so much money. Great. That's amazing. But that's them, bro. Do you know how much money they're making and compared to you? What if you were the source of information and knowledge? What if you were the one that actually went and figured out where the gold mines were? What if you were the one that figured out the gold mine and then walked into town with his pockets full of gold and then everybody went out to the west? You need to be able to identify opportunity by becoming educated, and nobody can do that for you. So these are my thoughts for the people that are in the second bull run. Then for the people that are in the first bull run, I think wrapping it up for you guys is your hard-earned money is really hard to get back. You need to respect it because it took you a lot of time to get it. You need to respect it. And yes, understand that there's a lot of opportunities out there, but in the game of life, if you have no motherfucking chips, you can't play. So if you go all in and you fuck it up, you got to start all over again. And we understand how starting all over again, momentum. A lot of you motherfuckers lost it all in the bull run, and you felt what it was like to be rich and free, and then you fucked it up. So this time you have the opportunity of a lifetime, but there's a lifetime to that opportunity, and you need to capitalize on it. How you take it seriously, who you talk to, how you sit down and make a plan will determine where you end at the end of 2025. The world is changing extremely fast. You adapt or you die. This is not the first time in history that there's been a fucking shuffle. Just go study it, dude. You think this? You think a global currency has existed like the dollar before? No. For most of history, issuance of currency has been privatized through banks, through monarchies. It was a sign of power and dominance. So when that currency, right, begins to lose and falter because the empire loses, right, the trust of its people, then you begin to see the splintering of that currency, which is a symbol of power. Because remember, when Alexander the Great walked the roads and when Caesar walked the roads, he wasn't going to every corner of his empire. He was staying locally. But the coin was a symbol of what? Of his power and of his ownership on those people, that he owned them. So the moment people got fed up, right, and currency began to become devalued, trust was eroded, currency began to split. And what we're seeing is the splintering of that trust. And it's moving very fucking fast. You think the you think it was fast in Rome took a couple 800 years for the entire thing to get split up? This thing is moving at speeds that you wouldn't even comprehend. So, how do you prepare yourself? One, find the right people that are going to help you. Two, help yourself by becoming the type of individual that is valuable regardless of a currency. Three is get educated as to how the world works. Because if you understand how the world works, you understand where the world is headed. And for those that say that, oh, the people that got into crypto early got lucky, no. They just knew shit that you didn't. And they placed their chips where you didn't. That's it. They played the hand right and you didn't. So don't be fucking mad. Instead, figure out what's the next hand and play it right. That's the data set, motherfuckers. I love you. Power and peace. See you guys soon.